I think most people know what feminism is, even if they, don't agree on what it means.
El feminismo es una palabra que todo el mundo conoce, pero no siempre nos tomamos el tiempo para discutir lo que significa.
My name is Barb Harper. I'm Amanda Harper's grandmother. I'm almost 69 years old, and I retired a year and a half ago as CEO of the Cincinnati Police Credit Union.
Como resultado, decidí hablar con 4 personas con identidades y experiencias muy diferentes para entender lo que el feminismo significa para ellos y cómo ha impactado sus vidas.
My name is Amber. I am a junior studying physics and earth and environmental science at Boston University.
A través de estas discusiones, descubrí muchas diferencias, similitudes y paralelismos entre sus percepciones del movimiento.
I am Noah Duke. I'm an education major at the University of Cincinnati, and I am Mandy's cousin.
Mientras observa, quiero que le haga la pregunta: ¿qué significa el feminismo para usted?
My name is Sunny. I'm originally from Ohio, and I am currently a junior at the University of Pennsylvania.
¿Qué significa para usted la palabra feminismo?
It really just means, advocacy for women.
One of the things is a really powerful movement with sort of this beautiful message of intersectionality and embracing the identities of, the really big group of people that identify as feminine.
Just respecting people, not for on the outside, but more on the inside.
Early on, when I was very young and first starting, out of high school and all, it was, the early 70s. And I think it had a very radical, component to it. But it really is, trying to get equality for women across the board.
Gender equality at its basis form.
When people think about feminism, the first word that comes to mind is equality, but I don't think it's necessarily equality as in men are the same as women or men, but it's more equality of choice, the freedom of choice that men are able to have, whether that's career, whether that's the ability to go running at past sunset or whatever it is.
But then on the other side, I think as a trans person, I do sort of see the negative exclusionary side that some people have taken with feminism, with trans exclusionary radical feminists, this way in that some people have tried to distort the movement in order to spread hate.
¿Se siente representado por el movimiento feminista?
Well, I do, because I'm a woman.
Somewhat, yeah.
I think I do. There is sometimes a domination of the movement that does not necessarily include me, even if they're not trying.
My follow-up question would be, what feminist movement?
I don't think I did so much early on, because I initially, I met Grandpa when I was 18, was married at 19, had your dad when I was 21, and I chose a very traditional lifestyle at the time.
In some ways, my experiences, I think, really align with sort of the experiences that are behind the feminist movement. And I was assigned female at birth. I was raised as a woman. So all of the cultural expectations and the stereotypes and the suppression sort of come along with that, and I've experienced those things, and the parts of the feminism movement that attempt to address those things, I think I really strongly identify with.
Looking back on it, I've seen the inequities through the years of pay, of respect, and definitely see the value of those women who fought that first fight and continue to fight it.
There's so many movements, and if you're talking about the greater feminism movement in America, I don't know. I don't think so.
Because I don't really identify as a woman. I identify as non-binary. There's sort of this additional element that aligns more with
like with the rise of like social media, and just like media in general, like we are so much more connected, and I'm able to like look up to other women of color that are like feminist icons. So yes, if I'm in the right spaces.
I identify especially with people who in their work as feminists are really actively trying to be intersectional, including like trans, non-binary, people of color, like those perspectives.
I mean, I'm going into a woman-dominated field, so I have to a bit. Women have almost always been in education. Almost all my teachers were women. There is a big importance of men being in it, of course. My mother's also a teacher. She always tells me the struggles, and it always tells me to keep my respect and be who you are.
¿Cómo ha impactado el feminismo en su vida o en las vidas de las personas que se rodean?
I definitely saw changes through my years in banking. It was a struggle for many years to see myself getting equal pay for one, for the job. And I believe that, you know, the feminist movement was instrumental in getting that done.
There's sort of this overarching general awareness of feminism, the knowledge of the term feminism, the knowledge that like there is societal expectations and marginalization of women, and having that sort of cultural understanding so early, I think that has been really positive.
It's allowed me to become more open-minded, I would say, looking at it from a women's perspective and of course a man's perspective. You can really start to see like the problems on one side and the problems on another side, where when I was more immature, I would just look at it from the men's problems. Feminism also helped me, this is probably one of the most important things, but helped me like actually listen, you know, to get bias in my head, because there's always a little bit, but you can tend to get rid of it.
For me, like a lot of like the lens that I look at feminism through is like, what do I have that my mom did not have when she moved to this country, or like when she got married? She got married at 21. I'm gonna be 21 in something like 4 months, and that is like out of question to me. Like I would never like think of getting married this early.
My mom and dad, my dad was very domineering. 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls, and he made it very clear when I was thinking of going to college that his money had to go to get the boys to college.
That was just like the norm, and like she was young, and like that was kind of like her parents were like, it was an arranged marriage, and her parents said like, you're marrying this person, and that it kind of just happened. And like not that she was like against it, it was just like that's her like that was her life. And like now like in my life, like that is like not something that's on my radar. I'm gonna finish school, I'm gonna go work, I'm gonna go back to school, and then maybe I'll think about like getting married like down the line and then having kids or whatever it is.
You don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And when I was, first married, Grandpa's name was first on, bank accounts and credit cards. And I think it was 1976 before, women got credit for their credit. And, Grandpa made the money, had the income through the Navy, but I paid all the bills, and I always paid the bills on time, and I helped manage our money. And, I should get credit for that. And I was appalled to find out I wasn't getting credit for that. And now people don't even think about it.
¿Cree que el movimiento feminista ha cambiado con los años? ¿Ha mejorado?
I definitely think it has changed. Learning about the beginning of equal right to vote movements, and the fact that a lot of the women who were fighting for that were also fighting for women of color to not get the right to vote. So going from that place where it was exclusionary to now, I think marginalized narratives aren't necessarily like the main part of the movement. I think that there's a lot of efforts to understand what intersectionality is and how to be inclusive of all people who identify as women or who have marginalized gender identity.
I think so. I think in recent times, especially with the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement a couple of years ago, I think the topic of intersectional feminism has come to the forefront a lot more, which is like obviously amazing, because before that I think a lot of feminism was like white feminism. Like I think it's changed in a way that it's like bringing in more voices, enough voices. That's a whole different topic of discussion.
But I will say my impression is that a lot of those efforts are happening more on like the large scale and not necessarily like where an organization that identifies as like a feminist organization tries to have intersectional language. But I'm not sure I've seen like the personal conversations expand as much. It's really easy to sort of sit with whatever understanding you have of someone and not put in the effort to learn more, because it's effort, like it's work, and it can be hard, especially if someone has some identity that you truly don't understand. There's a lot of material out there that helps sort of guide someone through the process of trying to be intersectional, trying to understand. On an individual level, there's sort of, I would say very concretely, a responsibility to seek out these materials, to learn more about others.
More back in the day, it seemed like for gender equality a bit more. Nowadays, you see more of like, well, with the evolution of social media, you see like more of the radical people.
Yeah.
They start to come out, and when most people hear feminism, they think about the radicals, you know, and like all their beliefs. So
What do you consider like radical?
Well, like the women above men, like not believing that men have any problems, or that weird kill all men thing. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's gone from I think, being perceived as very a radical movement to a more mainstream movement, even with the Me Too movement. I mean, within it, I think the movement itself is viewed as more of a leveling the equal tables, for women, as opposed to being some, crazy, bra burning, movement.
¿Cree que el movimiento feminista es lo suficientemente inclusivo en este momento? ¿Cree que debe ser más inclusivo? ¿Por qué o por qué no?
It's so much more difficult to change culture, and there has been a steady change in that respect of women being viewed as equals.
I think it's getting there. Again, like if you ask someone with a different set of identities than I do, maybe they would have a different question, whether that's like oh, no way in hell isn't inclusive, or like oh yeah, of course it is inclusive. I think like everyone would have different answers.
I think it needs to be more inclusive solely on the basis that I don't always feel comfortable in feminist spaces.
For me personally, I think it's getting there, and I want to be hopeful that like one day like it will get there.
And I don't know if it's true or not, but I get it on social media. I've heard that there are like some feminists who don't really agree with the trans movement a lot.
People reach inclusivity where people with marginalized identities, first of all, feel comfortable in those spaces, but then also are explicitly part of the conversation, valued, because of their unique identities.
Well, as of late, I don't think it's really been too inclusive of men, I'll be honest. There are, of course, real problems with both genders, but I think it's just coming to terms that there are both problems is the hardest part with that.
I guess there's always room for more inclusivity. There is, and we need to continue in this movement, in this way, because depending on what people think and how they were raised, those things are very hard to change.
I think the disconnect is like understanding that all these identities kind of interact with each other in a way that it's like complicated, you know. It's not just like all women are the same. Like every woman has her own experience because we all like come from different backgrounds and like have different identities.
Creo que todos podemos estar de acuerdo en que el feminismo es complicado. Es un movimiento que a veces puede parecer demasiado radical para algunos y no lo suficientemente radical para otros. Es un movimiento que siempre ha tratado de mejorar los derechos de algunas personas, pero a veces no ha logrado que todos se sientan incluidos.
I appreciated the questions. It gave me a lot to think about. It was interesting to think, even in, you know, my almost 69 years of life, the changes that have been made.
Sin embargo, el hilo conductor en todas estas discusiones es que es una fuerza positiva y con el potencial de un gran impacto en la sociedad y en las vidas de los individuos.
So, and sometimes it takes really, you know, kind of dynamic or radical people to get, you know, to get society to take another look and to see how it needs to change.
Tenemos que seguir hablando y escuchando unos a otros para llegar al punto en que todos los que se relacionan con el movimiento feminista se sientan representados.
And it kind of goes back to like, do I feel represented in the feminist movement? Like right now, like the broader one, and I'm not sure. But I'm hoping that one day maybe my daughter can answer that question. It'll be a yes.